Welcome, Buff fans. It is late on Saturday night, and of course, the primetime night owls. Right, this is our time to do it. And a week ago, we did this on Saturday night as we were both in Kansas City, just to kind of update people on what was going on with the Buffs. Um, Big 12 title situation, and now we know. So we're going to kind of get into that briefly. Now that we know what's happening for next week for the Buffs, it's nothing, and kind of where they go from here, Matt. And so. We don't know for sure, but basically, one thing we know right now is the Buffs came up short. They will not be in the Big 12 title game.
Yeah, yeah. It's a bummer, man. It really is. I mean, it came all the way down to the final minutes of the regular season, right?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, at the beginning of the year, if you offered that to anybody, I'm pretty sure they would have signed on the dotted line. So it's important that we keep that in perspective. It
Mhm.
doesn't take away from anything they've been able to accomplish. That being said, in there's two contexts to evaluate this team by. It's one the first is obviously the turnaround that's occurred here over the course of the last two seasons. And the second one is a team that was more than capable of making a run and probably should have made an appearance in the conference championship game. And, from that perspective, it's going to be tough because they stumbled twice, in conference play. And it's tough because one of them was at home with less than 2 minutes left, and the other one was on the road against a team that was 4-6, and they may have been playing better and they may have been playing their best football, but they were still 4-6, and you got throttled. You didn't just lose, so
Yeah.
it's tricky, but still, Colorado will have a bowl game, 9-3 season, chance to get 10 wins. Still unbelievably remarkable. Just unfortunately, Brian, the Cards. Man, Houston gave it a shot. They did, but like we were talking about before, as you brought up, they couldn't get out of their own way. They just made way too many mistakes and still had a chance to maybe drive the ball down and tie it, but it's not to be, Brian.
No, it's not. And, look, Coach Prime was pretty matter of fact about it this week. It was, look, we fumbled our chance in Kansas City last week. They went out there riding a four-game winning streak, lose 37-21. And yeah, you can look at the K-State game and yes, you have to look at that, but to me it's the Kansas game because that's the one that out of all the games in conference play was the most uncharacteristic of this team was that game. And so you look at that and this week Coach Prime was like, "Look, we fumbled our chance." And he goes, "I'm not going to sit there and hope on these other teams to lose so that we can back in." Now, he would have loved
We
it.
all did. Yeah.
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 And
Yeah.
and I'm sure he did a little bit too, and he would have loved it. But his point is, look, we had our opportunity to take it
Yeah.
ourselves. We didn't do it. And BYU is doing the same thing because for most of this season, BYU was sitting there undefeated. I think they were 9-0 at one point, and they're kicking themselves because they're not in it either. They fumbled their chance. And you got to give credit. Arizona, it's going to be Arizona State versus Iowa State, and they earned it. Arizona State, give them credit. They've been red hot, and they came out of nowhere, picked last to win this in this conference, and they go out and win it. And uh, everybody, all Buff fans were hoping Arizona would show up and say, Territorial Cup, they got to have some pride in their own on their own field to beat their rivals. Nah, Arizona pulled in Oklahoma State and was like, "Screw it, we're done. We don't want to play anymore." And Arizona State kicked their tail, 49-7. The Buffs needed Kansas State to beat Iowa State. Good game, and Kansas State was in it most of the game, but lose 29-21. Iowa State, they earned their chance in there, and then the other two things, just to recap for everybody, they needed Texas Tech to win, which they did. They took care of business, 52-15. By the way, I mean Texas Tech. Wow. I mean, the last 2 weeks they put up over 50 points, and so then you needed Houston to beat BYU in Provo. I was like, well, that's not going to happen. And sure enough, there they were with 6 minutes left and the ball down by six, uh, and literally fumbled away their opportunity and a fourth down play that was a bad play, but then they fumble, lose 38 yards, and yeah, Houston.
I it the fact that they thought that the surprise onside kick was the way to go. I know you and I go back and forth on this because look, there is a better percentage. It's around like 45 to 50% surprise on sides. Although that's in the NFL. I don't know what it is in college. I can't imagine that it's higher than that in college. So, in the NFL, your standard onside kick recovery rate is like 2%.
Yeah.
I mean, ESPN couldn't come back from the stupid commercial showing us Dan Lanning and Oregon's, undefeated season, and then bam, there's the onside kick return for touchdown. You're going, what they did what after taking the
Right.
lead? They did what? And this, of course, was, succeeding the triple reverse wide receiver pass where he threw the interception behind the line of scrimmage. So, it's man, BYU tried to give it to him. They tried to give it to him, and I definitely it ended up being way closer than I thought. So yeah, it was. That's a bummer, man. It's a bummer. It's a bummer. I feel for
Yeah.
all those players because, as you mentioned, you've seen some of their reaction on social media. All the guys, for the most part, Coach Prime might not have been watching the game. He might have been sound asleep, but I know most of these guys were watching it, and they had their hearts ripped out because, now I mean, look, you make the bowl game, but everybody wanted to make the conference championship
Yeah.
games.
I Yeah, and you say they had their hearts ripped out, and they probably did to some respect, but um, I think a lot of them felt the same way Coach Prime did. I mean, Cam Craig the other day after the game, he basically said, "We had our shot, and
Yeah.
we blew it." And so I think their hearts were ripped out mainly last week in Kansas City, and this was kind of like, okay, there's a little
Then
bit
you
of
had
hope.
hope. Then you
Yeah,
had hope, though.
a little bit
Then
of
you got
hope,
it
and
ripped out again.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I, it's funny
Yeah.
because I was telling our buddy Adam Muncher Tiger on Friday, I was like, I think the worst thing for the Buffs would be if it comes down to Houston makes it a game and very late,
Yeah.
and there's a shot and very late, and that's exactly what happened. And but bottom line, you were banking on the worst offensive team in the Big 12 coming through for you on the road, and it just didn't happen. And yeah, the onside kick you're talking about, Houston scores and goes for the surprise onside kick right up the gut. I actually wouldn't have minded the call, but the execution was terrible. The only other onside kick return I've ever seen was actually CU, and I think it was Nelson Spruce
God,
returning an onside kick. Do you remember that?
yeah, I think I do remember that. I'm trying to think about which game it was.
I mean, it was a decade ago, but it
Yeah,
was.
whatever. People who watching this, they don't care.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
care, but that's the
Yeah.
only one I think I've ever seen. But that was,
Yeah.
and Spruce was on the edge, like he was over by the sideline. This
Yeah.
was right up the gut, and so. But bottom line, the Buffs are not going to the Big 12 title game. But as you said, 9-3, 7-2 in conference. They do finish in a four-way tie for first place, and I don't know if they'll hang any kind of championship type of banner. It's not an arena, so I don't know. But they did tie for first. They will go down as co-regular season champions. But regardless of all that, it's been a really, really good season for this team and much better than expectations. And now let's talk about where they go next. And I tweeted this out,
Hold
and
on. 1 second.
yeah.
Please, please, this is my plea. As impressive as that is, and
Mhm.
trust me, based upon where this program has been, this what I'm about to say does not mean I'm not appreciative, I'm not grateful. I don't think it's an impressive accomplishment. But for the love, do not be UCF who put 2017 national champions on their stadium. Unfortunately, they didn't get it done. Don't put that up there. That leave a carrot out there to go
Yeah.
chase.
No,
Sorry.
I agree with
I
you.
just wanted to put that because I remember going to Orlando and looking at that and thinking that was the lamest thing I've ever
Yeah.
seen in my life. So please, let's not hang any banners for things that you didn't win.
Isn't that in the same vein as the Lakers hanging
Hundred
the
percent, buddy.
mid-season tournament
hundred
championship?
percent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except for the NBA makes you do that. The NBA
Yeah, that's
forces
true.
you to do that so they
But
can
didn't the
legitimize their
Lakers sort
stupid
of
tournament.
celebrate it too, though?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, they know they're not winning another title.
right, right, right.
So,
So
I mean, yeah.
so
Anyway,
yeah, it,
enough
it would be
Laker
up there.
bashing for now.
Right.
Yeah.
But bottom line, look, Coach Prime said this too. He's like, look, I'm proud of what we accomplished this season. And then he said, I'm not gonna sit and watch all these other teams lose, but he's proud of it. So where do they go next? And what's next is Bowl Selection Sunday, which is December 8th, which I guess technically is 1 week from today because it's 12:30 a.m. On Sunday, December 1st. So it's technically in a week from today. That's when the CFP is announced. And then later on that day, the bowl selection stuff will come out. So just to recap, so for fans that don't or that aren't aware, Matt, CU is still a Pac-12 team. And so the way bowls work for the next 2 years, because of conference realignment, the Pac-12 had all these bowl agreements with bowls, like every conference does through 2025. So because of conference realignment and so much movement, they kept those for this year and next year. So all the Pac-12 teams, even though they're in four different conferences right now, are going to be lumped together in bowl selection for the Pac-12. And the way that's going to work is the CFP takes their 12 teams and whatever Pac-12 teams are left, then go into the pool. And at this point, Oregon's in there, CFP. Arizona State could be in there. I think they will be in there, but we'll see. Um, and then it goes a selection order, and we don't have to go deep on the selection order because the Buffs aren't going to be deep in that process. But number one is the Alamo Bowl gets first choice. They can pick any Pac-12 team they want. Pac-12 team that's bowl eligible. Next would be the Holiday Bowl. Next would be Las Vegas. And you and I we've talked and tweeted about this a lot. It's going to be the Alamo Bowl because there's
Yep.
no way. Uh, I mean,
You
look,
know what?
the only other possible
Uh-huh.
look, there's several bowl
There's a
eligible.
couple scenarios, right? Like I think I tried to work it out in my head before we got on here. There's a
Yeah,
couple of them, aren't there?
not really.
Well, I mean, hypothetically, so you've got Iowa State and you've got ASU, right? If Iowa State wins, they get the automatic bid,
Yep.
and then BYU would be going to the Alamo Bowl as the Big 12 representative.
Yeah.
At that point,
Most likely, that's what we think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, most likely. Yeah, I would be pretty surprised if they were to pick like Texas Tech
So
or
yes, and
Kansas
and
State.
and let's recap. The Alamo Bowl is a Pac-12 versus Big 12 bowl. So that's why it's going to be, two. Well, very well could be two Big 12 teams, right?
Right, right. And
So
so again, so if Iowa State were to beat Arizona State on Saturday, then Iowa State's in, and then you would have BYU presumably as the Alamo Bowl selection for their
right,
representative. Now, on the other side, that would essentially give the Alamo Bowl two choices, hypothetically, for the Pac 12 representative, and
right,
that would be between Arizona State and Colorado. But the prevailing assumption here is, especially now that you know that Travis and Shadur are playing, the
right.
Unitas, the Heisman, maybe the Blitnikoff, and who the who else knows what these guys are gonna take home. The appeal is gonna be there. The television numbers are gonna be there. If they have
And
the
yeah,
choice, I mean, it would be pretty stunning if they went with ASU over CU.
yeah, I would think so. Unless there's something that we don't know about. Maybe
Well, so
there's
here's the so here would be the only other part of it. ASU has already played BYU this year. So in one of the conversations you and I were having
have they?
at Kansas, yeah, they have. Yeah, they beat them. Yeah. Yeah, I just looked it up. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, I looked it up.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
they played.
last week. Last
Yeah,
week.
yeah, yeah. They played
Yeah,
him. Yeah, last week. And
yeah,
so they did play him last week. I looked it up to make sure though. But the point is that if Kansas State had won today and had potentially been in the conversation and Colorado had been eligible for the Alamo Bowl, you and I discussed, well, maybe they didn't want to schedule that game because that would have been a rematch of a game that took place in the regular season,
right.
which ASU and BYU would be, right? And
Yeah,
so I think that would give them a convenient excuse to go with CU, who would have
yeah,
one less win than ASU, right? At that
yeah.
point in time.
But convenient excuse, but I think they would pick him anyway. They can pick
Right,
whoever they want.
right, yeah.
And I can't unless there's like some major,
What did
fan.
Washington State finish at? Just they beat Wyoming today, right?
No, they did not.
They did not?
No,
Wow.
they lost 15-14 at home to Wyoming, and so
Okay,
they
so then it would be ASU and CU. I don't even think there's anybody else in
right.
that conversation,
So
right?
right, and so yeah, Washington State 8-4, and then there's three or four 6-6 teams from the Pac-12. So they can pick whoever they want. I mean, they could, in theory, pick USC if they wanted to because of the LA market. So For those that don't want to go to San Antonio, I know you're one of them. Maybe you hold out hope that the Alamo says we can have
Says,
USC.
the Heisman? Nah.
Right.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying
No, no,
they're
no. I know. I know.
honestly of most attractive teams, it'd be CU, ASU, and then probably USC. So
That's
they're not going to
exactly
pick
what I was
Washington
thinking.
State. So
No.
they're not going to pass on CU. And at this point, Kansas State's out of that conversation, in my opinion. So it's going to be Iowa State or BYU. So
Yep.
essentially, it's going to be CU in the Alamo Bowl versus Iowa State or BYU. That's what
Yep.
we think. I'd be stunned if it's not that. I'd be really surprised if the Alamo Bowl picked ASU as the Pac-12 rep. Um, if ASU was in that conversation. So, but if they do, let's say the Alamo Bowl does pick Arizona State. The next one is the Holiday Bowl, and I don't know what you're
The
showing me there.
town of San Antonio
Yeah.
is a fortress on in the road.
Get used to that song, folks.
Welcome to the Alamo Bowl again,
That's right.
folks.
So
Hey, third time's a charm.
third time,
Third
right?
time's a charm. And I'll tell
It,
you this. Can we let's bring the vibes up here just a little bit. Colorado's going to be healthy going into the Alamo Bowl. We know
yeah,
Shador and Travis are going to be playing. I assume that means just about everybody else who's not seriously injured or at least still recovering from an injury that would be in the senior class will play. That
yeah,
means good luck, BYU.
yeah,
Like if that's the case, and we know Colorado's going to send their seniors. The question becomes: does BYU's have guys eligible for the draft that are prospects that decide to play themselves because they're going to have to go up against a healthy and a pissed off Colorado team for the
yeah.
last time these guys are playing together. So I
Well,
pity the fool who has to play Colorado and San Antonio. I do,
and you mentioned BYU, but I mean, I think it's gonna be Iowa State.
or
I think
Iowa State,
Arizona
or
State's
Iowa
gonna.
State.
I think Arizona State's gonna win that game next week. I mean, the way they're playing right now. I know Iowa State had a big win today, but either way, Iowa State or
It'll be a good
BYU.
one, I think. I think it'll be pretty
Yeah,
good.
it'll be fun, and I know. Just I threw that out there on Twitter that hey fans, if BYU holds on here, this is what's happening, and the reaction blew me away because it is adamantly
We're
against the
done with
Alamo
Texas.
Bowl.
We've hit our limit with San
I
Antonio,
mean,
the Alamo Bowl, and Texas.
look,
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
people were mad that like why would they play a Big 12 team, and I don't want to see them against a Big 12 team. I know, and Iowa State and BYU are both on the schedule next year for Colorado. But look, they haven't played BYU in 36 years since I think it was the Freedom Bowl in 1988, which was Darian Hagan's first career start, by the way.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Wow.
because Sal was sick.
That's
Sal
right.
Nessie was sick, and Darian Hagan got the start. So, and then they haven't played Iowa State in 14 years. So, it would be new teams. It would just be conference teams. So, I had people ask Matt, can they decline the Alamo Bowl? I guess, but here's why they're not going to. Okay, people have to understand that there are payouts for these bowl games, right? And I don't know if people know this or not, but the Alamo is a really good bowl. It is like when you outside of the CFP, the Alamo was one of the top tier bowls, and
Mm-hmm.
this is what I could find on the payouts. And I think this was last year's numbers, and I don't know how if they're different this year, but this is basically the structure that it would be similar this year. The Alamo last year paid 8.25 million. The Holiday paid 6.5, and then the Vegas Bowl, which people want to go to because it's Vegas, paid 2.9.
Mm-hmm.
So they're
See you in
not
San
gonna
Antonio.
they're not, and
See you in
that's
San
not per
Antonio.
team. That's not per team. I don't know how the payout's going to work because it often is distributed among the conference. Either way, there's more money coming to CU if you go to the Alamo than the other bowls. CU's not going to decline more money.
Johnny Cash has something you'd like to say.
Remember the Alamo.
Okay.
Well, and
Ah,
knowing this was a possibility all year, I've said I don't want the Alamo only because I've covered two bowl games in my life.
yeah.
Well, three because I did cover the Celebration Bowl a couple years ago, but both of them were the Alamo Bowl, and they do it well. San Antonio is a cool city; they do it well, but I wanted something different. But I don't think we're gonna get something different. I think
Here's
it's
what I
gonna be
gotta say.
the Alamo Bowl.
As Miss Peggy said, we'll take whatever they give us. And
Yeah.
right now, I mean, a hell of a season. And honestly, I'm just grateful we get another opportunity to watch Travis and Shador. And you and I
Yeah.
are going to be lucky enough to watch him in person. And, I'll say this, definitely a lot cheaper going to San Antonio than it would be, to San Diego. So from that perspective, maybe a little more cost effective. Although
Well, and hey,
how close
honestly,
is San Antonio to the beach?
but look, Coach Prime
Yeah,
did say the other day,
yeah.
he goes, I wish we had a say in where we go so we could so we could pick a bowl that was cost effective and economical for our fans. There you go.
There you go, coach.
San
Ask
Antonio,
and you shall receive.
San
Ask and you
Antonio
shall
might
receive.
not be too bad to get to. Um, so yeah, there you have it, folks. Anything else, Matt? I think
Hey,
we just kind of want to do
two
something
out
quick
2 hours and 4 minutes from San Antonio to Corpus Christi. So maybe I could see the other side of that, Jilfa, Mexico.
yeah,
All
good
right,
luck.
here's what I yeah. Here's what I gotta say. Uh, I'll see you in Texas for Christmas. I don't know exactly what this next, month is going to look like media availability wise. I imagine we probably won't talk to Coach Prime till after the Heisman ceremony, the week of the Heisman ceremony, I would guess. Maybe
Yeah,
they'll do something in the meantime, but that'll obviously be our next big item we have to cross off. Is 2 weeks we'll be headed to New York to hopefully, cover a Heisman Trophy winner, which will be really great. And
yep,
you know, the other part of this is now you've got bowl practices. You get an opportunity to get a jump start on spring ball and on next season. And you can have recruits come or early enrollees come play. And I think the expectation is that once Juju's done with his season, he'll play. Is what I think people are
practice,
speculating. I
not
don't.
they can
That's what
practice,
I
not play. Yeah,
that's what I meant. I
yeah,
think yes, that's what I meant. Not play. Excuse me. I
yeah.
meant
Big
play with
distinction.
the team. But I think that would be huge because that's an opportunity for some of these younger guys who are going to be critical and core pieces of the program moving forward to
Yeah,
be around these 21 seniors to see what the standard, as Cam mentioned the other night in the post game, looks like in person and have that and go, okay, that's what it's supposed to look like even at a young age. And so you'll have to redo it again in the spring for all the guys in the portal and everything. But I think it's a good opportunity for some guys to get a head start. And as we've been talking about next year without Shador and Travis, you're going to have to do some things differently. So I think
yeah.
blessing in disguise in that regard. But at the same time, obviously, you and I wanted to go to Texas this upcoming week, but we can still go. I mean, you want to go?
I am still booked. I need to cancel that as soon as we get off this Zoom here. But
Yeah.
yeah. And one last thing for me, it will be interesting. I know Shador made a really good point, post game the other day about playing in the bowl game, saying that he that he and Travis understand that it's not Colorado if they're not playing, and they understand the impact they have on what this looks like for a bowl game if they're not playing. And Shador said, we understand if we don't play, there's probably a lot of other guys that won't play. And, honestly, I thought about this before the season, Matt, that I saw this scenario like, what if they get to, the Vegas Bowl or something like that, and Travis and Shador and Shiloh, guys like that are like, we're not playing. And then all these guys are like, we're not playing, and portal, whatever, and you don't have enough
2020
people
all over again.
to play in a bowl game. And so
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen, but I still would expect there to be some opt outs and guys that jump in the portal and not be in the bowl game. So that's going to be interesting. That's going to be an interesting thing to watch between now and whatever bowl it is. The Alamo, by the way, is December 28th. So 27 days from now. That's going to be something interesting to watch to see develop because there will be some guys that I don't know if it'll be a lot, but I think there will be some guys that do that. But
The stats are official in bowl games, but is the eligibility? Like if you redshirted this year, could you play? Like could Trevor play?
I don't know that, to be honest with you.
I don't think he could, but that would be interesting
I
because
don't
that could
think
probably
so.
help some depth issues if that happened. I don't know.
Yeah, I
But
don't think
anyway, the
so.
the other point is, and look, I want to make sure we also address you and I have a lot to talk about from yesterday's game, and we'll
Yeah,
do that here coming up this week. But
yeah,
that was a pretty remarkable day in and of itself in an awesome way. I mean, just a quick word on it, just an amazing way to end the regular season. You bounce back. We talked about it, a little bit last week, how okay, you got the emotional hurdle to overcome, and They let off Big 12 play, so they didn't have to worry about other results. And
Yeah.
what an amazing send off at Folsom Field, and just capped off with an iconic moment between two of the program's greatest players of all time. And that was an amazing day yesterday. It really was, and it's just a shame that this team won't get a chance to go to the big dance. But either way, it doesn't take away from what they've accomplished. And that was a really, really great day. Found myself very reflective, and you know, when it was like yesterday, I can remember the press rally, and I kept thinking to myself, wow, I mean, look at the change that's going to happen. And then the other day, I found myself standing right behind Shiloh and Shadur and Coach Prime right before they took their senior walk. And I was like, that's it. Like, that's it. It's
Yeah.
over. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Whoosh. So,
In a
yeah, that
blink.
was a great day.
It was a great day, a lot of fun, and we're gonna get into this, but I'm just gonna say this really quick. The way this weekend played out, we know Travis is gonna win the Heisman. We think so, right? I
He's
mean,
winning the Heisman.
it should be a slam dunk. But the way this weekend played out, the way Shador played on Friday, and Cam Ward losing on Saturday, watch out because that could have got Shador to New York on
Does
his
it
own.
does it does it get you? Does it get him to 3 on your ballot? That's the question.
I can't
Or
reveal
is
my ballot.
I can't reveal my ballot. Did you get your ballot yet?
Not yet. We haven't got it yet. I will say we are sworn to we are not supposed to reveal our picks because they don't want it out there.
Well, what if I revealed your pick for you? It's a person I know who's a Heisman voter, and
Yeah,
we all know who it was.
let's just put it this way. I'll just say this. I was between Cam and Shador for that third spot. It was solidified for me this week.
Wonderful. I love
Okay,
to hear that. Yep, I love
got
to
it.
hear that. Sounds good. Got it.
Read into it whatever you want on that one. And
Picking
folks,
up what you're putting down.
we'll see you Sunday or Monday. I think Monday.
Monday, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Monday, and we'll kind of recap this last game more, but we just want to kind of do this, kind of give you an update on what's going on, what's next for the Buffs. And Matt, we'll see you on Monday.
Sounds good, buddy.